Welcome to Investing Disciples, where God leads and blackness succeeds. Let's get into it, y'all. So today we're going to talk about a few things. The first thing we're going to talk about is Trump and his affordability plan to win the midterms. Okay, so he's doing a few things. He seems like he's taking out a Democratic Party book, right? So Republicans usually don't do this, but he understands that in order to win the midterms, you have to tend to the everyday American. So that's what he's doing, right? So now he's talking about affordability. Now, we know gas prices and inflation is down, but the cost of living is extremely still high for the everyday American. So what he's trying to do is he want Americans to be able to buy homes using their 401k, right? He also want to put a 10% interest rate cap on credit cards to give the everyday American the ability to pay off their debt, right? The last thing he wants to do is he wants to put a ban on large institution investors for buying single family homes, y'all, right? So this all sounds good, right? But I think that it could go very south, right? So now we had JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon come out and say that it's going to be an economic disaster, talking about the 10% cap on credit cards. The next day, Trump filed a lawsuit against Chase and CEO Jamie Dimon, alleging that in 2001, the January riot, when that happened, JP Morgan Chase closed his personal and business accounts because of that. So he's saying it's due to political reasoning. I just feel like it's out of retaliation because why would you take and file a lawsuit literally a day after Jamie Dimon come out and say that is going to lead to an economic disaster, talking about the interest rate cap, right? So I also think that 401k should not be used to buy a home unless you are close to retirement, right? So I do think Jamie Dimon is right when he say like certain things is going to lead to an economic disaster because we as Americans was taught to be consumers, right? So if you teach somebody to be consumers for all their life and then you go out and you say, hey, you can get in more debt. Most people are going to do that. They're going to get in more debt, right? I do hope that some people, if that 10% cap does come around, I do hope that some people take it and pay off their debt. But I do think most people are going to fall more victim into the debt rabbit hole, unfortunately, right? So I think now in 2026, y'all, we have to take advantage of any opportunity that we get. Let's move on. America and China love-hate relationship. That's what I call it, right? So now America and China is supposed to be friends again. Hooray! Everybody's happy, right? Now let's take a step back and look at last year. Last year we had a crazy year, y'all. Like we talking tariffs, we talking China not wanting to give America the critical minerals for our defense to use for our defense, y'all. And America is retaliating by putting 125% tariff on China, saying that China had broke their agreement a long time ago from buying soybeans, and it was just all a mess, right? So Trump had went a few months back and met with China president and signed a 1-year deal for China to give us our critical minerals that's used for our defense. And in return, we took down the tariffs from China, and then we also is allowing Nvidia to go in and to give China the chips that Nvidia have, right? So I think Jensen, the CEO of Nvidia, is playing China and America at the same time because he came out a few months back and he said that China is going to be the number one AI superpower in the world. And he said for two reasons. He said, one, because it's lower cost of energy, and two, they have less regulations, right? So if Jensen, the CEO of NVIDIA, is saying that, why then is he okay with sending his chips over to China? And why is Trump okay with sending NVIDIA chips over to China? Because the Democrat Party, Biden, he was the one who banned the chips being sent to China in the first place because he must have seen something, right? So now it's okay. So I just feel like that right there is telling me that we as America is going to continue to be consumers like we have been the last 40 years. I hope I'm not right about that because we definitely need to win this AI race. Whoever wins the AI race is going to be the number one superpower, in my opinion, y'all. So I hope we're not consumers of that, but China does a good job with taking and not making quite as good as products as America, but what they do is they make a similar version and they sell it for cheaper, right? So that is why China is still the number one manufacturing country in the world, and that's how they got there, right? By taking similar products that America had and making it cheaper, right? So that's a tailwind all in itself. We're gonna have to see how that goes, right? So let's fast forward to what Scott Bessent said, which is Trump right hand man. I like this dude because Trump can say something and it brings the market down, and then Scott Bessent, with his wittiness, he come in and he just calms the market, and the market just go on a rally, right? So I like Scott Bessent. Now, what Scott Bessent said was a few things, right? So he said basically during COVID, it really tested our ability to see what would happen if we got into a war. What would happen, right? So the first thing would happen is our critical minerals that's used for our defense will be none and void, right? Basically, we won't have none. We'll run out. The second thing he said, this is important, was if Taiwan get invaded, then that's going to hurt our economy, right? So we're doing a few things here in America. Number one being we are taking and building businesses here, semiconductor businesses here, so we don't have to rely too much on Taiwan, which I think is a great thing. We need TSM, which is a really large semiconductor over in Taiwan, is taking and funding and building businesses here, right, in America. So I think that's a great thing, okay? The other thing he said was in 18 to 24 months, we won't need China anymore for our critical minerals. If China is truly our adversary, why are they making things that we really need, right? Like our critical minerals, like our pharmaceuticals. Like, why are they making these things if they're supposed to be truly our adversaries, right? So, y'all tell me what y'all think. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I want y'all to comment below one key takeaway that you got from watching this video that's going to help you become a better CEO for you and your family. Because if we not learning, we not earning, y'all. This your boy. I'm out.